The man squinted, then reached into a drawer and withdrew a sheaf of inventory ledgers. He turned to the final page. He said he left a small coin of gold, pulling it out from the book binding, and something chilled in me. I turned it over in my hand, and Sigrid pointed to the central design on the reverse of the coin. That looks familiar. Varel had followed us before, always one step before or behind. Our paths somehow linked. I couldn't shake the feeling that he was following us now, or worse, guiding us.
This dispatch has been filed from my desk. Dr. Elia Dare, Translator in Residence, Division 5 of the Royal Expeditionary Society. The excerpt you are about to hear was recently translated from the personal journal of Captain Milo VonDæker, July 1890, during his voyages to the Alaskan Territory. The runes and exact location of Milo's travels are still being studied, and we would appreciate your help in deciphering them. At the end of this broadcast, we will give you information on joining the Society as a member to help us unravel the mysteries surrounding the Wind Harrow and her crew. The following classified account has been unsealed for your eyes only. Handle with utmost discretion. Its contents are not for public dissemination.
Journal entry, July 1st, 1880. Wind Harrow, moored off Seattle, Washington Territory. The fog lifted just enough by dawn to reveal the bell towers of the city, like ghostly sentinels watching from shore. Seattle has grown since last I passed through. What was once a loose scatter of wharves and fir trees now rings with hammers, saws, and the bitter song of industry. And yet, even among this forward march, something older clings to the brick and brine. We began the day as we often do, coffee in battered tin mugs on the top deck. Elias Blackwood, my first mate, stood hunched over the rail, salt and pepper hair tied back, his scarred face unreadable as he muttered a Cornish proverb about mists hiding more than moorings. He's a loyal shadow with rope-burned hands and eyes that miss little, though he seldom shares what they see. Near him stood Henrik, our deckhand, a stocky, sunburnt sailor with blonde hair that defies combs. He's well-meaning and prone to questions no one wants to answer. This morning he was busy recounting a dream about a trout that could recite poetry. Costas, our cook, shuffled past with a clipboard and pen. Broad-chested, olive-skinned, and wearing a stained apron over his striped shirt, he claims he once quieted a storm with fish stew and a prayer. I never questioned that story. He handed me a list torn from his clipboard. Take this to town. We need more spices. Sigrid Bittergale, our navigator, stood close in silence, tall and composed, her copper-red hair knotted for the sea. Her pale Icelandic eyes read charts as easily as they read people. Our coffee in the fog wasn't quite gone when the boy arrived, barefoot, soot-faced, no older than 10, or with a parcel wrapped in oilcloth and string. Captain VonDæker? He asked, glancing between Elias and me, his voice brittle with soot and salt. I nodded and fished in my pocket for a coin. He handed over the package with the solemnity one might expect of a funeral usher, then bolted back to his craft and disappeared into the low fog. The wrapping was crude, but the craftsmanship beneath was not. Inside, a narrow tobacco tin, brass-lipped, engraved on its underside with what looked like world waves. Within the tin, a letter. Its paper water-stained and smudged, but the handwriting was unmistakable. Dr. Thaddeus Varel. The ink had bled in several places, but the final line remained legible. Follow the merchant's eye to the flame beneath. Sigrid murmured, "This is too old. It's not written to you. It was for your father." My father? But why was Varel following my father here? I wondered out loud. Sigrid stared toward the city. Varel would stop at nothing to find the treasure he thought your father sought. I opened my father's journal, something I kept beside me at all times. The ink was old, but the messages fresh. "He stopped here long before the great fire, but the trail stops here," I said. He must have missed Varel's letter. Sigrid handed back the tobacco tin, or he left it at the port post for someone else with his name to claim. Elias scowled, motioning toward the city. "This place has more secrets buried in its mud than gold in its hills. If we chase every scrap with your father's name on it, we'll never see open sea again." The streets of Seattle buzzed with the frenzy of steam and speculation. Telegraph wires laced the skyline like spider's silk, and men shouted over crates of tools, barrels of flour, and gossip from Juneau. After Sigrid found the spices we needed for Costas, we passed a modest clapboard building in Pioneer Square, its windows soot-streaked, its signage faded but legible. Northern Shipping and Prospectors Registry Office. Inside, the air was heavy with pipe smoke and the slow creak of ledgers being opened and shut. Behind the desk sat a clerk, spectacles smudged, vest unbuttoned, sorting bills of lading and stamped approvals with the speed of molasses. I offered him a coin for his troubles and asked if he had any memory of a Dr. Varel who may have stopped here some time back. Varel was one man who would leave an impression anywhere he went. The man squinted, then reached into a drawer and withdrew a sheaf of inventory ledgers. He turned to the final page. "He left a small coin of gold," he said, pulling it out from the book binding. Odd it was, so I kept it here. There it was again, a coin we had seen from our last journey. Elias looked over my shoulder. Aye, every scrap of gold he found he used to pursue the next treasure, ever hungry, never sated. I turned it over in my hand, and Sigrid pointed to the central design on the reverse of the coin. "That looks familiar." "Can we take a rubbing of your coin?" I asked. Sigrid took an impression with wax paper and a nub of charcoal. Elias, arms crossed, grunted, but said nothing. That evening we dined in the captain's quarters. Costas served sourdough pancakes he'd leavened overnight, with proper ship's air, as he called it. He spooned on warm compote, thick with blueberries and a hint of spruce sugar. "This," he declared, "is what makes fog worth weathering." Henrik, 2 bites in, asked if sourdough could be used to polish brass. Costas ignored him. Elias finally spoke, but only to mutter that the glyphs were too conveniently placed. Sigrid offered no argument, just passed the rubbing to me for my journal. After supper, the crew trickled out one by one. Sigrid lingered, then rose silently and tapped the journal beside me. "There's something in the soot patterns," she said, her voice low. "They may not point backwards, but forwards." She left before I could ask more. Now the ship was quiet in the dusk and incoming fog. Outside, the city crackled with fireworks and drunken laughter. In my quarters, I examined the rubbing again, and something chilled in me. Opening my father's journal, I found what I sought. A map of the western coast of Russian America. I traced a hand-drawn ring of other runes and glyphs. There it was. A copy of the rune from the coin. Not just a symbol, coordinates, or a warning. My father had known the difference. I only hoped I would find out in time. My father. Where was he then? Was it true he disappeared? Was he still alive? I stared at Varel's letter again. The ink appeared to shift under lantern light. But of course it didn't. That was the fog creeping back in. Varel had followed us before, always one step before or behind. Our paths somehow linked. I couldn't shake the feeling that he was following us now, or worse, guiding us. What was I seeking? Treasure? Freedom from my father's path? My journey was always laid out in front of me. What would the Alaskan territory hold for me and my crew? Tomorrow, we sail north.
For the observant modern traveller retracing the travels of Milo and his crew, we are including modern notes.
If you're planning to follow in Milo's footsteps through the modern-day locations, here are 4 hidden gems you won't want to miss in Seattle, Washington. 1. The Waterfall Garden Park, Seattle's secret sanctuary tucked into historic Pioneer Square. This tiny gated park hides a 22-foot waterfall. Often missed by visitors rushing to Pike Place or the waterfront, it offers a quiet pause amid the bustle. The spot was originally the birthplace of UPS, though you'd never know it from the flowers and ferns today. It's an urban retreat of sound and mist. 2. The Klondike Gold Rush National Historical Park Museum. Step inside this free Smithsonian-affiliated museum to uncover Seattle's unlikely role in the Yukon Gold Rush. Artifacts, reconstructed offices, and vivid storytelling make this a surprisingly immersive stop. For Milo fans, it's a mirror to the early ambitions that once lured his father's generation northward. 3. The Panama Hotel Tea House. Part tea shop, part time capsule, this spot preserves the memory of Seattle's Japanese-American community. Beneath the floorboards are visible belongings from internment-era residents. Untouched and haunting, a visit offers warmth, reflection, and a layered story of resilience. And number 4, Merchant's Cafe, Seattle's oldest restaurant since 1890. In the shadow of Pioneer Square's busy corners lies a dimly lit relic of old Seattle. Merchant's Cafe is the city's oldest operating restaurant and bar, layered with frontier grit and ghost stories. The walls have seen prospectors, sailors, and prohibition plots, and are said to still echo with whispers from Seattle's wilder past. For Milo fans, this is the kind of place Willem VonDæker might have scrawled notes over whiskey, or left behind a clue.
Join the Royal Expeditionary Society today to help us uncover the past. As a member of the Royal Expeditionary Society, you will receive exclusive access to Milo VonDæker's recovered journal entries, annotated maps, and facsimile reproductions of the very artifacts that guided the crew through storied ports and uncharted seas. To become a society member and to receive classified dispatches from our desk, please contact the Society at the address below. Thank you and Godspeed.